From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of evenings, LALATE, for April 23rd, 2022, with breaking developing details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022, with not one, not two, but yet a new fourth stimulus check announced today. On a weekend, we'll have incredible details across the board on a new Check D. Yes, you heard me right. Over this 1 hour special broadcast in prime time, we'll go over the incredible four stimulus checks that are now coming from the President of the United States, coming from Congress, and now your states, as 20 of 50 states have now announced state stimulus checks. It's huge, it's breaking news, and it's happening tonight. Over this 1 hour broadcast, we have a lot to go over. We'll start first with the incredible details of the Build Back Better Act and the economic data that came in this week, and what the Federal Reserve will be doing at that FOMC meeting in just a few days from now. We have guidance on that front as well. That impacts your SS 300 to raise your benefits up, because guess what? A recession is looming. We'll have the latest details in that front tonight. Then we'll be turning to what's going on with the Build Back Better Act and why the economic data faltered this week and why that's good news for that as well. Then we'll be looking to six stimulus. On Sunday, we will learn whether the president of France is re-elected. That's big for six stimulus. Guess what? The president of the United States is doing lots of executive orders, and among them are student loan debts. More debts have been forgiven. Have your debts been forgiven? I'll have them in this recording. 6 student loan debt executive orders in 7 days. Wow, it's huge. But then the president of the United States has now sent out not one, not two, but multiple stimulus checks from fourth and third stimulus. We'll be going over that as well, plus the breaking news across the board today, as huge news coming down from the states. 20 of 50 states have now either proposed or have passed a fourth stimulus check for you to come, and that's just a start. The number could grow by next week, and it's all being featured in today's recording. Plus, we'll be looking at what Joe Biden is doing across the board, what you need to know as we go into these big days of April. Oh boy, it's a big night. It's a big evening with a lot of breaking news on a weekend. It's Evenings LA, and it starts right now. And good evening, everybody. It's a beautiful night from Southern California with your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 for April 23rd, 2022. As now 20 of 50 states have announced a fourth stimulus check. It's huge. That's on top of the now multiple stimulus checks coming from Joe Biden by executive order. We have all that coming up later in tonight's recording. But first, if you haven't become a member right tonight, right this minute. The link is at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP, and stay a member, as I've been saying all this week, because guess what? New checks are going to get announced, and I projected it as well. We went into the weekend with the states having 2 states announcing state stimulus checks, and now we're upwards of 20 states. Wow, this is huge. It's coming up later in this recording. Then we have the President of the United States now with 2 stimulus checks from 4 stimulus landing in direct deposit. Whoa, this is huge. Plus, we have those MSE checks landing by direct deposit. Oh, we got a lot in tonight's recording. Get ready with all the incredible news. If you're a member, get that newsletter in front of you and follow along starting right now. The Build Back Better Act takes front and center on tonight's Evenings LA broadcast to start, as the president will be refocusing the U.S. agenda back on domestic policy this coming week. Congress is back in session, and many believe that the Congress will pass the Build Back Better Act in the next few days. What's changing? The president has refocused the agenda of the White House back to getting stimulus packages out the door. Why? Because new polling says that Americans have grown a little bit tired of all the focus on Ukraine and want the refocus back on them. What's at issue? The insiders are a series of individuals from the White House team speaking to press. The first one says that the White House is refocusing on doing domestic agenda right away, and it will involve passage of the Build Back Better Act. The second insider says that the White House is concerned about where the growth rate is later this year and trying to spin it. Let me tell you what's going on. The way that we gauge whether the U.S. economy is growing or shrinking is something we call the gross national product. The gross national product is a number that if it's positive, it shows the economy is growing. If it's negative, it shows the economy is shrinking and in recession. So where is the number tonight, and what did that White House insider say, and how does it impact Build Back Better Act? The GDP of the United States is currently at 6.9%, meaning we're growing at 6.9% as a U.S. economy. Good. Not as good as Wall Street anticipated. This week we started with a projection of 7.1% currently, and it missed. Ooh, that's not particularly good, is it? Then what did Wall Street say this week? That we're going to shrink as a U.S. economy to 4.1% by the end of the year. The White House insider said, no, we're actually going to shrink even more. Oh, boy. The White House insider said, we will shrink as a U.S. economy to 3.7% GDP by the end of the year. Wall Street, you're over-anticipating a better number. Whoa. So who was this White House insider? It was off the record. The White House insider did not want to say the number. Why? Because it's a miss. Wall Street thinks we're going to grow bigger as a U.S. economy, 4% by the end of the year. The White House insider says, no, it's going to be 3.7%. My projection, and we're not going to grow at all. My projection is we will have zero growth or negative growth because we will be in recession for 2 years starting in 2023. I'm not alone. I was the first to say this in a recording, but Deutsche Bank came back later on and validated my recording, saying that it's projecting 2 years of a recession for the U.S. economy starting in 2023. It's also projecting the same thing for Germany. Now, Goldman Sachs ended the week by giving a 35% projection that the GDP number will be negative next year. They're not saying it's guaranteed, but at least 35%. This is big news for your Build Back Better Act, because remember, the legislators want to do stimulus when the U.S. economy is faltering. And tonight, there's all indications that the U.S. economy is faltering. That White House insider said 3.7% growth when projecting it against the other countries. What did that White House insider say? That we're better than them. My translation? Not true. 2.1% growth for Germany, 2.5% for South Korea, and 3.7% for United Kingdom. That's not how I read it, because the U.S. economy is a bigger economy. We should have more growth than South Korea. That is why the White House insider is likely to have said the number off the record, because it signals something's going wrong in the White House. If you're at 6% growth right now and you're shrinking to 3.7, then you need to get some stimulus out the door. And that is Build Back Better Act. New insiders say that the White House is refocusing domestic agenda back on front and center. And my analysis tonight is that I need a little bit of someone to come on set and help me with some numbers. Not Sirloin. He'll be making a debut later this week as the channel approaches its 2-year anniversary, April 25th, 2022. But no, I need Calendar Colleen on set. Why? Because if you look at the calendar, Joe Biden needs to get the Build Back Better Act started, ramping up in the next few days. Let's look at the calendar. The midterm elections is election night is November 2022. But the way that most Americans now vote is by mail. The mail voting starts 2 months earlier. So let's bring that back. October, September. That means if you want a check to be in people's hands when they're voting, you want the check there by August. If you want the check there by August, the president needs to sign into law by July. If the president signed it into law by July, that means that the Senate would vote by about May, send it back to the House, because remember, that goes back to the House if there's changes, by June. Yeah, that means we are really at the cusp of getting Build Back Better Act done in the next 30 days. Otherwise, you wouldn't get a check before Election Day. That's not going to happen. Certainly, they're going to send you a check before Election Day. So that is why the calendar lines up so perfectly to get Build Back Better Act done in the next few weeks, if not late April, then early May, by all indication. Now, what's important to understand is the President of the United States has not delivered on economic data than many insiders thought. And that faltering economic data supports the Build Back Better Act. In the last 7 days, we've had a lot of economic data come in, and it was misses. Non-farm payroll jobs missed by 60,000. The labor numbers are actually not particularly that robust. Let's look at the housing market. 4 consecutive months of down housing sales, meaning if you go to sell the house, it's going down. In fact, we now see the numbers for mortgage rates surging out of control, 5% mortgage rates as compared to 3% 2 months ago. That's why the housing market's imploding. Then we also have the consumer price index numbers, the inflation numbers. We'll get to those in a second. That is why Jay Powell, who's head of the Federal Reserve, is grappling with the same problems as well. Jay Powell has different focuses. His focus is inflation. And to get inflation down as federal chair, what are his tools? In that toolbox, he does not have a lot of tools. And his only major tool is interest rates. Interest rates, rising interest rates, raising them up higher to battle inflation down. But what is Jay Powell saying going into this weekend? Jay Powell had a lot of comments to start the weekend. Let's understand that Jay Powell also saw the comments coming out of the White House. Of course, that White House insider said that we're facing risks and some challenges. One risk is that the U.S. economy staggers through energy and food coming forward. That's not a surprise because I'll be going over the energy and food escalation of prices in the month of March compared to February in just a second. The Federal Reserve's chair, Jay Powell, spoke at a luncheon on Thursday, and we said we must expeditiously raise interest rates to battle inflation. This came, and I want to make this very clear, folks, this came as no one in their right mind was ever talking about 3/4 of a basis point for an interest rate spike at the May meeting no less than 2 days ago. And then suddenly, right before Jay Powell spoke on Thursday, a lot of people are saying maybe we have to do 3/4 of a basis point. I mean, excuse me, we're going from quarter to half to suddenly 3/4. Jay Powell had to silence the critics, saying we're not doing 3/4. But he says it's appropriate, in my view, to move a little bit more quickly. I think it's important to say something front-ended loading to accommodate what thing is appropriate. I think the 50 basis point would be on the table for the May meeting. What did he basically mean? He said, we're doing a half a basis point, 50 basis points for the May meeting, and we'll do another one for the next meeting, is what I'm projecting thereafter. He's also saying we're doing front loading. I'll explain front loading in a second. This is big for you. Why? Because it signals that Jay Powell understands that inflation has yet to go down. And then if Joe Biden makes that swap from COLA to inflation, your benefits lock in $200 more per month. Let's go over the great news on this front, starting right now. Joe Biden, when running for president of the United States and then as president-elect, wrote at joebiden.com that he's going to swap your COLA for inflation. By swapping your COLA for inflation, you would get a new benchmark. What's a benchmark? Every December, they assess your benefits based upon the benchmark of COLA. It came in at 5% last year, so your benefits went up 5%. Not just in January this year, but this whole year. Not just this whole year, but lifetime. But you got cheated because it should have been inflation. 8% was the number for inflation, not 5%. I had projected all last year that inflation was going to come in at 8% in December. Jay Powell had it wrong. He said 2 to 3% temporary. I said, no, it's going to be 8%, and it's going to be prolonged. It was 8% in December, 8% in January, 8% in February, and where did it come in March? I'll go over the analysis in just a second, but it came in actually higher. This is good news for you if you're on benefits, because if Joe Biden makes that swap from COLA to inflation now in mid-April, you're still at 8% inflation. That's at least $200 more per month right now, this month, this year, this generation, this lifetime. Because once you swap your benefits, they never go down. Now, what's going on with the end of the year? The end of the year, I'm projecting that inflation would be 4%. That's what Jay Powell said in February. 4% is another $100. That's SS300. That would raise your benefits up $300 a lifetime. But what did Jay Powell say about 3 weeks ago? He's getting inflation down to 1.9% later this year, not 4%. He changed. And then he said he's getting down inflation dramatically right now because it's out of control. And then he's going to do a half basis point starting in May and may stay with that for a while. Is it going to work? No, absolutely not. It's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, that means that it's good for you and your benefits, because then you would have $300 more per month, not just this year, but lifetime. Let's go over why it's not going to work. First, let's understand where this inflation number is right tonight. Is it really 8%? In my opinion, it's actually not 8%. In my opinion, it's actually a little bit more than 8%. We had the Consumer Price Index number released just days ago, the CPI, which signaled that price inflation went up dramatically in the month of February to March. What do we see? Year after year, year-to-date numbers is not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on what happened between February, when we had 8% inflation, and March to understand where is inflation in March. Well, we had 11% increase of prices for energy from February to March. We had a 3% increase for for grains, for fruits and vegetables, all fresh, about 3% from February to March. And we had all consumer foods about 2% up from February to March. The whole U.S. economy, well, still saw the CPI number, went up about 0.3% in 4 weeks from February to March. So the translation is that inflation is actually higher in March than February. That's good for you because, again, if Joe Biden makes that swap from cola to inflation, we're not at 8%. We're at about 8.1, 8.2, 8.3%. That's all good news. Now, why can Jay Powell not get inflation down? What is not working for Jay Powell? It's his toolbox. He does not have tools to get down inflation when it's caused by supply chain disruption. And tonight, folks, I can tell you for Evenings LALATE this evening, for America's most watched show in financial news in prime time, Jay Powell has not one, not two, but 3 supply chain disruptions happening right now. The first one was coming out of COVID. Coming out of COVID, we had those lockdowns and we didn't have those truckers. That supply chain disruption continues to permeate the U.S. economy right tonight. Then, the second supply chain disruption, you know about that, that's Vladimir Putin. The third supply chain disruption is brand new. That is China. As China's on major lockdown because of subvariant of Omicron, and that subvariant of Omicron is causing cities like Shanghai, that has a population larger than New York, a population larger than Texas and Florida in some cases, to not be able to do much of anything. Let's now analyze the situation. In China, we produce some of our goods in China and ship them back. We can at the moment. And then we buy some of China's goods and ship them to here. We can at the moment as well. That's causing massive supply chain disruption. And guess what? Jay Powell has no tools. Jay Powell has no tools to get down that inflation, and it certainly will not be interest rates that'll work. So, what's the takeaway for all this? The takeaway is a trifecta. First, Jay Powell, in my opinion, will not get down inflation to 4% later to 1.9% later this year. Absolutely not. I think it's still going to go to 4%. That's good news for you. That's another $100 more per month. What about inflation in the next 30, 60 days? I don't think it's going to work. I think the 3 supply chain disruptions are very big at the moment, folks. And Jay Powell's raising up of interest rates is not going to work. I don't think it's going to work at the May meeting, may not work at the meeting thereafter. That means that the inflation may still track at least 8%, maybe even 7%. You're all good with your benefits. I think we're fine for that SS300. If Joe Biden makes that swap between now and at least May. We are worried about April. I think we're now fine into at least May at the moment. Now, what about that Build Back Better Act? The Build Back Better Act has a lot of staggering missing economic data in the U.S. economy. As the data misses, you got to do stimulus. If you've been in this channel since day one, we learned how this works. When the U.S. economy is not doing well, people want to help you. In 2020, the U.S. economy was not doing well, and that's why the Democrats were pushing for a second stimulus package. Republicans said the U.S. economy was good. It wasn't good. It was the start of the pandemic. Then eventually they agreed to give you stimulus. Then as we came out of the lockdown, people were unsure if the economy was good or bad. It was a push to get that third stimulus out the door. But today, Republicans and Democrats agree upon one thing. The U.S. economy is not doing well. And that is why Build Back Better Act has that incredible push out the door. And that is why you're likely to see a vote on Build Back Better Act in the next few weeks, because guess what? If they want that check from Build Back Better Act to land in your hand by direct deposit by the time you vote by mail, then they got to get it going in the next few days. Very exciting across the board. Now, really exciting is that the President of the United States has done what we did not think was going to happen. What did he do? He took 2 stimulus checks out of Build Back Better Act and made them law. Then He has done another stimulus check out of Build Back Better Act. I'll go over that as well. Then states are doing 4 stimulus checks. Wow. Later in this video, we're going to go over why 3 places of 4 stimulus checks are landing in your hands by direct deposit. It's huge. It's happening, and we have brand new checks tonight. First, we have the White House's 4 stimulus checks, brand new tonight. Second, we have the looming 4 stimulus checks from Congress. And third, we have brand new state 4th stimulus checks landing as well by direct deposit. We got a lot coming up in this video. But out of nowhere, the president did not 1, but 6 executive orders for the big money at issue, student loan debt. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let me tell you what's going on with these big surprises across the board. The big surprise across the board is that we now have a Check D. You ready for Check G? You have seen Check A, you have seen Check B, and you've seen Check C on this channel. But get ready tonight for a brand new Check D. It's a 4 stimulus check. And it follows on the heels of what Pennsylvania said just days ago. Pennsylvania should not choose between paying for utilities and groceries or childcare or gas. We have the opportunity and the means to ensure that they're not struggling, to ensure their success. That is from Governor Tom Wolf, what he's referring to, that the state of Pennsylvania has a lot of money available to give you a stimulus check. So I'm asking the General Assembly to unite across the aisles for the sake of every Pennsylvania. For when they succeed, our Commonwealth succeeds. Let's get this money out the door, the coffers for the people of Pennsylvania. Wow. And then Maine said the same thing. What did Maine and Pennsylvania basically say? Maine and Pennsylvania basically said, we're sending out a 4 stimulus check. Wow, this is huge. And tonight, folks, I have the even better news. Are you ready for this? Drum roll, introducing Check D. Check D has landed by direct deposit and will be landing in other states in the coming weeks. It is huge. It is averaging a $2,000 check. It's coming from your states, and it's a 4 stimulus checks. Get ready to clap your hands and do a little victory dance. Let's go over how we got to this brand new Check D, which you're seeing for the first time tonight on Evenings LALATE in prime time for April 23rd. It started over 2 years ago. During the negotiations of the second stimulus package, Steve Mnuchin said the states have a lot of extra money. Nancy Pelosi said the states are going bankrupt. She said, I need a lot of money for states. I went over that recording on this channel many, many months, going over whether states did or didn't have money. Ultimately, Steve Mnuchin had it. And he said, you know what? I'm going to solve this equation very quickly. I'm going to insert a provision that says use or lose. If the states do have money, they have to return it back to me. If they don't, then they don't have money. Guess what happened? They all had money. They had lots of money. And suddenly they scampered and spampered and swampered. What's the word? I have Crayola crowns, ruling my diction tonight. Scampered. They scampered. They immediately scampered to get those checks out the door because they did not want to lose the checks. Guess what happened? They all used the money and sent you a stimulus check in 2020. When third stimulus became law in early 2021, it's like Steve Mnuchin was back on point again. Why? Because Janet Yellen did the same thing. Janet Yellen looked at the third stimulus package and she said, we're giving a lot of money to states, but we want to ensure they spend the money. We're not going to leave the money there indefinitely. So she put a provision in there as well. In third stimulus, when it became law in 2021, use or lose. The provision means the states have to use the money by December 2022 or they will lose it. They will have to return it to the Department of Treasury, Janet Yellen's department. Well, guess what's happening tonight, folks? Yeah, every state was given the same amount of money based upon the population of the state. So if the state had 10 residents, it got more money than the state that had 5 residents. Every state was given massive sums of money. Let me say that again, massive sums of money. It did not matter whether the state's governor was Republican or Democrat, whether it's a rich or poor state. Every state was given massive sums of money. I'm going to just sort of jump in here right now because I've had one viewer ask the obvious question and I have the obvious answer for you. What about Kentucky? Mitch McConnell state, Republican, very Republican, generally perceived as a poor state. Does it have extra money? It does. I told you. It does. And it's considering sending out a stimulus check. I'm using Kentucky as an example because this is what's going on. Every state has money. Every state was allocated money, whether it's Republican or Democrat, rich or poor. And guess what's going on now? They all see that deadline of use or lose of December 2022, and the collective position of every state, I will guarantee you, will be the following. We are not going to lose, we're going to use. And that is what happens tonight. The breaking news for April 23rd, 2022, in the evening's LA primetime, America's most watched show in primetime for financial news, is that I told you 3 nights ago that 2 states were giving U.S. stimulus checks, potentially, Maine and Pennsylvania. Tonight I can tell you that it's upwards of 20. Yes, and we're just getting started. It was 2 nights ago I said to you that it's starting at 2, but get ready to hear all the states. Because in my opinion, virtually every state has extra money. Let me tell you what's going on. They have to use the money by December. That means they have to send the money to you by about October so that you get it by November. For you to get it by October, then, this is the states, remember, the states, for it to send out by October, the governor of the state has to sign it into law by about September or August. That means that he has 2 bodies of legislation, the Senate and the House in his state, not the government, not the Congress, but the state legislature. That means that the Senate of the state assembly of his state has to vote on it by about July. That means that the other branch of the state government has to vote on it by June. That means they have to announce it by May. That means they have to write the legislation by April. Here we are. Did you see that? That went really quickly. Thank you, Calendar Colleen. I really appreciate it. Calendar Colleen, I appreciate your work tonight. Did you see how quickly that ramped up? Yeah. These governors want to send you checks. Why? For the same reason we featured earlier in this recording. The governors want to influence your voting in the general election this November. And the governors want their party to win. And so that's why they want the checks to go out and take credit for it. So, what's going on? Tonight, the breaking news is that for the first time ever, we have a new check in less than 2 weeks. I told you the benefits of becoming a member because you want to become a member and stay a member. Because when checks land, you don't want to miss them. You want to become a member and stay a member. The membership link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. You want to become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The membership newsletter goes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. So, what are the 4 stimulus checks that are landing by direct deposit right tonight? What are the 4 stimulus checks landing by direct deposit next week and the week after? What are the 4 stimulus checks that will be landing by direct deposit thereafter as well? They're all coming up after the commercial break. We'll be going over why suddenly we have gone from 1 check to 2 checks to upwards of 20 plus direct deposited checks in just a few days. It's ramping up in major force. The other major force tonight is, of course, that student loan debt forgiveness. This is a big win for millions of viewers, and viewers constantly are telling me every night, thank you, LA. I got my student loan debt forgiven because of you. The President of the United States has now forgiven a lot more student loan debt, and he says that more debt will be forgiven. Remember, this is 7th stimulus. It's also in the newsletter. And there's a lot at issue with 7th stimulus. I'm going to try to say it right now because there's a lot going on. The president initially forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation or went to work in the nonprofit or public sector. That was first. Then, the president said if your student loan debts are due in May, I'm going to have them not due until September. That was the second executive order. The third one was, he said if your debts are in default, I'm going to put them back into good standing. That brought us up to the end of this last week. The end of the week ended with the following: that if your debts were procured by fraud by the university against you, your debts are forgiven. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a big one. That was Liz Warren's campaign promise. That was her rallying cry to Joe Biden over the last few months. Whenever she talked about student loan debts, that was the storyline that she spoke about. Debts procured by fraud. Tonight, she's winning. Tonight, it's a law. We're not done there yet. Taking existing statutes and modifying the statutes so debts can be forgiven. I was making that recording on this channel 2 weeks ago when John Kean, the then education secretary under Obama Biden, said, Joe knows he can do this. We passed it under Barack, where it says we can change language of the statutes to forgive student loan debts. It does not require an act of Congress. It can be done by executive action. In fact, all we're doing is just telling the agency to change the laws, to change the qualifications. If this sounds familiar, it should. In late 2021, Joe Biden picked up the phone and called Department of Agriculture, saying you're not paying enough money for SNAP, pay more money. If it sounds familiar, it was covered earlier in this recording. He can pick up the phone and call Department of Social Security Administration. Say, swap that COLA for inflation. And if it sounds familiar tonight, it will. Because guess what? He's picked up the phone and called your Department of Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, whose website you should be a hawk on. It is the Department of Education's website for the federal government. It's a .gov that has now announced that more student loan debts will be forgiven. Okay. Now, first, let me go over how they're doing this. And second, let me give you a qualifier. I'm not good on loans. So I'm just going to give you the words that I want you to know, and I want you to take notes on them. The words at issue are very important, and those words concern which student loan debts are forgiven and how they're done. First, I want you to go to that website, the Department of Education's website. Pull the press releases, everything on Miguel Cardona, the Secretary of Education, speaks. But let me give you the keywords to watch in his press releases. They are the following. First, his Undersecretary James Cavall is our guidance on the subject matter. We have an ongoing rulemaking that'll take a look at what type of statute should qualify for IDR credit. Those are the words you want to write down. IDR credit. That'll provide us rules to forgive debt going forward. That's the next one. Here's the next one. Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Write that down. Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. We have the ability to cancel student loan debts for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of borrowers under this program and under the, write this down, income-based repayment programs as well. Really fascinating. We're not done there yet. The final item for student loan debts for 7 stimulus is that the teal monster, the president's press secretary, Jen Psaki, while wearing teal, said that the president has still left on the table the concept of complete student loan debt forgiveness. This is exciting. Is the only thing more exciting is that the table was not teal colored as well? Wow. The president has now confirmed he's considering complete forgiveness of student loan debts. Boy, folks, we got a lot coming up in the second half of this video. We have the brand new Check D. We have the brand new other 4 stimulus checks that are landing by direct deposit. We got a lot of checks landing by direct deposit, and it's all in the second half. But first, as we go into the big second half, have you become a member? You want to become a member because guess what? You're going to see in the second half why it's important to be a member and stay a member. Because when checks land, you can miss them if you're not a member. It's too late to catch up, and the checks may have gone out, and you may not have got to them by then. We have all that coming up in the big second half. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, it's a big day with new 4th stimulus landed by direct deposits. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds, but first, here's a little bit about the members community page as Evenings LA continues.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And and then afternoons LA Late at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late.
And the excitement continues right now on a big evenings LA as we go into the second half for April 23rd, 2022, as new fourth stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit. I'm very excited for you. It's a big night with big checks and a brand new check D. Oh, boy, who would know on a weekend or any day of the week in the middle of the night, new checks will be announced, but guess who found them for you? I did. If you've been with this channel since day one, my job is to find you checks, and those checks are not front page news. They're sometimes not even back page news. I find checks that you're not going to see anywhere else. You're not going to be able to ask your neighbor or your bagger at the supermarket about these checks because they won't know. But tonight, I got a brand new set of checks for you. Great news across the board. Let's start with the brand new check D. It's huge, and it's happening tonight. A fourth stimulus check has now been worked up by your states, and I was the first one to project to you that it was going to be happening. I had said over the last 2 days that when we heard about Pennsylvania and Maine sending out stimulus checks, there were going to be other states to fall behind. Pennsylvania's Governor Tom Wolf said, let's get this money out of the coffers and put it into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. He is proposing a $2,000 stimulus check. Then I told you that Maine, the day after, says $500 stimulus check. I said they're not going to be alone because every state has money left over, and all the states are going to propose to give you a stimulus check. It's just a question of when they announce it. The latest details tonight, folks, is big, and it's nothing that I would have anticipated. Here you go, check D. I introduce you to the brand new fourth stimulus check landing by direct deposit. It is check D. It is a fourth stimulus check, first off. Second, it's coming from your state. And the check is different in every single state across the union. The situation I want to go over right now is very, very exciting. We were at 0 states a week ago giving you this check. Then, by the middle of the week, we had 2 states. Tonight, we have 20 states. Now, let me tell you the situation tonight and when it's going on. We have about 5 to 6 states approximately that have passed the law to give you the check. And then we have the remainder of the 20 states who say that we're drafting the bill and it's going to be voted on the next few days. As I told you over the last week, when legislators in the state say they're going to do it, they do it. Especially the governor says they're going to do it. They always do it. So long as they say they're going to do it, you can generally bet it's going to happen. Tonight, 20 of 50 U.S. states have either passed the law or saying they're going to pass the law in the next few days to send you a check. What are the states? How does the check work? And what's at issue? Now, it was no less than 3 days ago that I said for the first time ever, this channel, which never covers state stimulus, would then suddenly be adding state stimulus into the membership newsletter in the case of the 2 states of Pennsylvania and Maine. But tonight, folks, it's 20 states, and that's far too much to be covered in a 1-hour special broadcast in prime time. So you know where those 20 states will be featured in? The membership newsletter. The membership newsletter will now feature updates about the 20 states, what the checks are, how they're paid out, what the status of the bill is, and whether the vote has happened or whether they've passed. I'll be updating it as new details comes in, but the latest newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday will have the 20 states that either have passed it or proposed it. States are differing on how to do this, first of all. Let me tell you the nuances of this. Some states want to give you a hard, cold cash check, like Pennsylvania, $2,000, and Maine, $500. Other states want to give you something like a refund, where you paid something before and then you're getting a check back. Other states want to give you a relief when you go to pay for something. For example, they want to say no taxes on your gasoline for a certain number of months. Other states are doing something totally different or a combo of it. So it's very, very fluid. The great news, it's a lot of states, and it's very hard to find a state that's not doing anything at all. What is your state doing? How much is your state doing? What is it doing? And when is it doing it? You want to become a member. It's all in the membership newsletter, because covering 20 of 50 states, and it could potentially be 50 states by the end of this week, is unavailable in a 1-hour video. You never could finish it in 1-hour broadcast time. So what do you want to do? You absolutely want to become a member. Those check Ds are now in the membership newsletter. Become a member. The link is at the top of the chat, the pinned comment. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Get that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. Become a member and stay a member, because these check Ds are changing by the minute. It could be 20 states today. It could be 25 states tomorrow. The states could change it. The updates about it are very fluid. You want to be a member and stay a member. Now, that is a direct deposit check from your state. Let's go to the other brand new checks that are landing by direct deposit by Joe Biden. Oh boy, these are fourth stimulus checks from the federal government. There is now not one, not two, but 3 different fourth stimulus checks happening. You just saw the states. Now early in the video, we went over what the Build Back Better Act proposes when it becomes law. That's the congressional fourth stimulus check. And now let's go over the presidential fourth stimulus checks. These are ones sent out by the president, by executive action, direct deposit. They've landed. And the exciting detail starts with the first of several of these direct deposit, brand new presidential fourth stimulus checks. The first one is $6,500 to $12,000. This was in the Build Back Better Act, and the President of the United States took it out of the Build Back Better Act, and he made it law. This is a presidential fourth stimulus check by executive action. Joe Biden has done it by direct deposit. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. How do you get this check? Again, you want to become a member. The membership link is at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then, let's go over a little bit more about this check before we go over how to get it. The check's income qualification is the same as a third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you can get it. If you're on benefits, viewers have gotten it if they're on benefits, and you can as well. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, direct deposited fourth stimulus check. This is so exciting. So how do you get it? Open that membership newsletter. The first few lines are every night, Monday through Friday, are the oil, wheat, and grain prices. Then right after that is Check A. You click the link and you go in and you apply by going into the federal website. It'll send you a link into the federal website. Then you choose your state, like Mississippi. Then you choose the Mississippi Homeowners Grant Check, and then you click and apply. It's all very simple. It's all in the membership newsletter. You don't have to guess about it. As I always say, bring that membership newsletter with you when you watch this show or any shows on this channel and follow along. As one viewer, Carol, says, you make it so easy, LA. It's just simple play. You're basically almost bringing them right up to the plane in which they apply. It is very true. Check B. Also, a brand new direct deposited fourth stimulus check. It is a presidential fourth stimulus direct deposited check. I'm so excited for you. It's $50,000 to $80,000, and Joe Biden is paying you $15,000 to $80,000. The viewers on this channel is getting about $66,000 to $80,000 of direct deposit by Joe Biden. This is a fourth stimulus check. The eligibility for income is the same as Check A. Single individual, $75,000 or less. A married couple, $150,000 or less. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits. This one is so simple, folks. Again, you're going to open that membership newsletter and go right in there, and it'll have a link to the federal application website. Then you see a map like this. You click the map, and let's say you see New Mexico. Click the state of New Mexico if that's your state. And then you go right into the state of New Mexico, and you pounce. You apply, and you get funded by direct deposit. This is absolutely incredible. Oh boy, are we done there yet? We're not done there yet. We have a Check C, and monthly stimulus check. That Check C is astronomical, and it brings us back to the very first days of this channel. In late 2020, we were in the thick of the pandemic. We did not have a deal between Steve and Nancy Pelosi. and we needed money. I looked high and low, and I found it. Rent and utilities and mortgage assistance. It was December 2020. Many people were just focusing on telling you what was going on with Steve and Nancy. That was not my focus. My focus was getting you money. It's to this day focusing on getting you money, not staying in front of a blank wall and just reading a narration of press clippings, rather getting you money. And I got you $250,000. It wasn't a lot because it wasn't a lot of money at the time, but it really helped people. It was rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Tyrone and his family Ford out of Boston got $15,000 at a time. Many people said it changed their lives because this was money at the hardest part of the pandemic and helped pay their bills, in the case of Tyrone, from December to February. The best part of this was I had a piece of legislation that I looked at, I said, what is this? It was an exclusive at the time of what was set to be a new body of legislation for Joe Biden in early 2021. I coined the expression, third stimulus, like I coined the expression for fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. And I said, if this becomes a law, it's going to have a lot of money in there, folks. And ironically, it's exactly what I'm training you on how to get right now. Guess what happened? It became law. It became your third stimulus package. It became the American Rescue Plan and had massive sums of money in there. But the great news is that you, the viewer of this channel, were trained by me by then. You were trained how to get this money. So when it became law, I said, you can average about $15,000. You can, on average, I think, get about $15,000 from this package. Viewers did not get $15,000 from this package. They got on average $45,000. Whoa, that was at the time. Look at these incredible numbers that people got at the time. $45,000 and continue to get it to this day. Look at these numbers for utilities, upwards of $15,000 for utilities. Snap, Mark's brother-in-law getting $25,000 a year, over 10 years, $250,000. Look at these combos, $32,000. Look at these sums of money, like Mark, who was at $32,000, then went to $50,000, then went to $100,000. Now he's at $166,000. Here's Lorraine. She was at $105,000. Then she went to $120,000. Well, when January 2022 rolled around, when January 2021 rolled around, people were getting these big sums of money from third stimulus because they were watching this channel. They were getting what I called rounds, 3 or 4 months. Then last summer, I said, get another round. Then last Christmas, I said, get another round. We called it Santa stimulus, get another 3 to 4 months. Then this January, February, March, I said, get another round. And viewers said, no. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? No, I'm going to do a whole year. I'm going to do it like an MSC check. Excuse me? You can do that? That's what I said. And I was shocked, but that's what viewers did, and they won. Viewers started to get MSC checks from this rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance, and they weren't getting 3 to 4 months. They were getting 12 months. They weren't getting a few $100s. They were getting on average $2,000. That became what became on this channel the astronomical success that viewers of this channel created. Check C. Viewers have now gotten check C, $2,000 a month over 12 months, $24,000 on average, on top of the existing money they had already gotten. How do you get this money? Get your pen and paper ready. But if you're a member, you're going to follow along with that newsletter because I hope you have it right in front of you, print it up while you're watching this broadcast. Let's go over the incredible money starting right now. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, and your state housing authority. And your keywords, you're going to say rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage and utility assistance because of COVID. You're going to do 3 things. You're going to reach out to 6 places. Well, hold up. You're going to reach out to more than 6 places if you're a member. Because if you're a member, you get access to the nonprofits. So you're going to be able to reach out to 15 plus places. Every member must, absolutely in their own mind, reach out to at least 15 places. Why would you reach out to one when you have the opportunity to get paid from 15 different places? Yes, you can get paid by multiple ones at the same time. So you're going to reach out to 15 places if you're a member. They're all in the membership newsletter. Then you're going to put multiple applications in, and then you're going to do multiple rounds. Well, you're going to get this as long as you can. Open that membership newsletter. Get these big sums of money. Rely on the nonprofits because, boy, they pay sums of money that are absolutely incredible. They pay additional sums of money that are on top of the state, county, and city. Get those big sums of money. It's averaging about $45,000 tonight on top of the $2,000 a month. Over 12 months, get these big sums of money. You deserve it. Do not wait. Get these checks tonight. And that, my friends, is check C. Check C. Where are we tonight? We have check A, check B, and check C. Check A, a $6,500 forced stimulus check landing by direct deposit. Check B, a $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check landing by direct deposit. Check C, a forced stimulus check landing by direct deposit. And the brand new, announced tonight, Check D, landing by direct deposit. How do you get these incredible checks? Become a member. The membership newsletter, Monday through Friday. The membership link is at the top of the chat pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then look for that newsletter, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, and get that incredible sums of money. Meantime, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss the alerts of the newsletter. So make sure you first subscribe. You don't want to miss the alerts from the newsletter. Hit that subscribe button under this video. Next, make sure you go to the front of this channel and there's a bell. Hit that bell so you have notifications set to all. There's a little bell, you hit it and it says all. Do not choose personalized, choose all so you have all of your notifications coming across the board. Tonight, we're just 2 days away from the 2-year anniversary of this channel, and boy, have we learned a lot over the last 2 years. But tonight is certainly indicative of where we are across the board. This channel launched because a lot of Americans did not know about the EIDL loan or grant, or they had applied and they didn't know how to do it. A lot of people didn't know about PUA. In fact, I made the first recording of this channel April 25th, 3 days before the PUA unemployment assistance was about to go live. Millions of Americans never heard of it. Millions of Americans had never asked for unemployment assistance because they didn't need to until the pandemic hit. Tonight is much the same. Millions of Americans do not know that 20 or 50 states are sending out a version of a stimulus check or a pure stimulus check. And millions of Americans don't know that that number grew from 2 to 20 in less than 3 days. You do because you watch this channel. Information is king. Information separates you from others. Day one, I told this viewers of this channel that when you have financial freedom, you're better financially off. Financial freedom comes from information. You learn the information from me. I deliver you the hardest, strongest, most robust recordings with a lot of information about a lot of financial issues, about a lot of checks you can get, and a lot of projections of where this U.S. economy is going or is going. So you're ahead of the ball game. When you know the information, you do better. Along the way, it's important to understand that I'm the bearer of the news, not someone else. So don't ask the person on the porch next to you at the front porch. Don't ask the person bagging your supermarket groceries. Don't ask the person on the live chat, and don't ask the person walking the dog at the dog park. They don't know it because a lot of this information is nuance. It's very, very specific, unique information, and that's why this community has been so unique. That's why this channel has been such a success, because this is information you're not seeing in broadcast media, you're not seeing in print media, and most Americans don't know the nuances of all this incredible sums of money. It's money they can get, but they're not being told about it. And when you know the information, you are a step far ahead of all of them. And that's why I look forward to seeing you nightly on this channel. In the next year, this channel will continue to grow, and over the next week, we'll have a lot of fun. I anticipate over the next week, as we celebrate the 2-year anniversary of this channel, I'll be bringing back these early recordings of this channel. We'll see how the information then is much like how it is today, how it's important to really focus on details. Focus on a lot of details at a lot of times, because when things happen by the minute, you cannot miss it. That's the value of a membership. Because tonight we have what? 24 different checks we had to keep track of. We got 20 of 50 states now potentially sending stimulus checks. We got the 2 presidential checks. That's 24. We have the MSG checks. That's 23. We have the student loan debt forgiveness, which Seth John Meyer got $9,000 last week. Another viewer got $2,000. That is in essence a check as well, because you're getting forgiveness of massive sums of money. We're looking at about 30 different checks happening at the same time. That's a lot to know, and it's all in that magnitude of a newsletter. As Carol said 2 nights ago, I like you make it so simple. It's a very complicated universe with so much out there, but I make it simple because I reduce it to a way in which it's concise, easy, fun to learn, and all for you in both a video and a newsletter to follow along with. Go to the top of the chat and become a member right tonight. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Get that newsletter Monday through Friday. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn your alerts all on. Watch for that newsletter 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Throughout the night, we'll have more videos. We have Evenings LA every night at 5 o'clock. We have Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock. Street and Stillness at 7 o'clock. Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. And then Evenings Sunset at 9 o'clock. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, you have watched America's most watched show for financial news in prime time. We'll continue to stay ahead of the game, stay ahead of the ball game, and you will as well. You'll have that extra information that other people don't, and you'll have that financial freedom that other people aspire to have that you found with this community. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.